Yo, this is your boy Sam. I'm joined by my guy Matthew. And don't be alarmed, but something's wrong with StreamYard. So this layout is like kind of funky. But don't worry, because we're gonna get into a sorry about that. It is kind of funky today though. It's a little funky today. Matthew, man, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. Just almost the weekend, man. I got the weekend off, so I'm looking forward to that. How about you, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm gonna get right into it since we got like it's gonna be a big FSU chat full of recruiting. We're gonna talk about the expectations of what we think the class will end up at. We also gonna talk about have they changed recruiting philosophies. I brought Norvell Central along because I got Norvell Central coming on as a guest because man, he really gets deep into this stuff, the recruiting side of things. I normally when I want some information, I either go to him or I go to Clay Fink, to be honest with you. Those are two pages on Twitter that I'll follow when it comes to recruiting because I think they give me a pretty good idea of what kids are actually thinking and saying. I can't lie, man. I'm getting to my like late 30s. I care a little less now, so I have to get people that's on this stuff, man. So let me bring Norvell Central in. What up, brother? Oh, you gonna mute?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Not
What's
much,
going
man.
on,
Not
man?
much. Let me see. Should I do it like this? I think this is better. I'm gonna go like this. All right, man. So FSU. Well, we're gonna start with the first. We had the quarterback basically saying Bama ain't Bama no more. We start there. That's because that started first. Y'all got any thoughts on that? How y'all feel about it? About the quarterback kind of talking out like that. I found it odd. Not that he said that, but I found it odd that he was doing like a piece, like a written piece like that. I thought that was just, I don't know. Something about that was just odd to me.
I mean, I'll start off. I mean, Castellanos is one of those confident kids. Florida State recruited him as a running back. Always had a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to be a quarterback. Gus Malzahn brought him in to be a quarterback at that point. Gave him a chance. Unfortunately, he only stayed a year with Gus at that point. Was able to go to Boston College to be a starter. Got to give it out to him. Jeff Hafley done a tremendous job with him, developing him. Bill O'Brien, not so much. So obviously, when you're looking at those quarterback recruits and looking at those players that he has, dual threat quarterback, knows he wants to scramble, wants to extend the plays with his legs. He said that Nick Saban was just the person that built Alabama. He's no longer there. Obviously, he built a tremendous legacy at Alabama, but now you have Kalen DeBoer there, who is a tremendous coach, but he did have a 9-4 season last year, had embarrassing losses to Vandy and Oklahoma. So his thoughts are valid. Would you want to say that in the middle of June? Probably not. But at the same token, I like the confidence. I like that he's not just sitting back, taking a back seat to all the comments of saying, well, he can only scramble, and he's just not really great of a thrower. So it's pretty impressive to me to see him have that confidence. Now he's got to be able to back it up.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why, but this thing keep kicking me out for some apparent reason. But I'm gonna try to get through the whole show. What did you say something already, Matthew, about it?
No, but as far as I go with his comments. Now when I first saw it, of course, my initial reaction, my eyes got kind of big. I was like, oh man, like what he said what? But then when I looked more into it, that was just one of several things he said. But of
Right.
course, the media is going to take the part about Alabama, and that's how they're going to promote, you know, the everything that he said. So, I mean, the way I look at it, man, coming from 2-10, I mean, I mean, you're literally coming from the bottom. I mean, you've revamped the coaching staff. You have what I think is going to be a better team this year. I don't mind my quarterback having confidence. I mean, the quarterback is the leader of your team. He's the one you're going to follow. So if he's ready, then that makes me feel like the team should be ready. So, and a lot of these guys are gravitating towards Castellanos. Remember when he got here, you saw him with Deuce Robinson, you saw him with Boggs. They were already, doing drills and building chemistry and all that. So, I don't have an issue with it. I think a lot of people are fixated on the 2-10, and they're fixated on what Alabama, I guess you could say, used to be and all that type of stuff.
Right.
But I mean, I don't think Alabama's fallen off that far. I mean, because 9 wins is still pretty good, especially a year after following Saban. But I don't have a problem with it personally. I like that it lit a fire in everybody. I hope it gets everybody fired up. I'm not someone who's like, oh, well, you said this in this bulletin board material. At the end of the day, you still got to point your pads and you got to play. So nothing nobody says means anything anyway. So
Right.
I don't have a problem with it personally.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't really like it from my quarterback. I guess if it was a skill guy, I wouldn't care as much, right? Like if it was a wide receiver or cornerback saying that, I'd be like, okay.
Matthew, I do have a thing for you too. Castellanos is such a running threat at quarterback, and you talked about the comments from Nick Saban.
I guess
What about Xavier Lee back in 2007 when he beat Nick Saban, first game of his career at Alabama? Why can't Castellanos do it?
Right. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I didn't have too much of an issue. I guess it's because of quarterback, and I guess because he hadn't been here that long. I guess it kind of bothered me a little bit, but I don't. At the end of the day, I don't think people actually care about bulletin board material. I mean, it'd be something that they talk about depending on who win or lose the game.
Fans care about it more than players.
Yeah, I think the fans care about it way more than players. I don't think players really give too much of it. I mean, they're gonna say something. They probably feel a little way about it, but and the team, to be honest with you, the team probably need like type of a jolt to it too. To be honest with you, because I mean, they were in a very confident group last year. A lot of confidence died last year, so it might be a good thing, if they perform well, which I think they got a chance to perform. I think they're gonna perform okay against Spam. I don't think it'll be that bad, to be honest with you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump to this recruiting news that we got. Hopefully I don't get kicked out of here. I feel like I am again, but I don't know. Let's just start with the guys that we currently got. I do want to say something because I thought most people was kind of down on the quarterback pick, the Jaden O'Neal guy. And I told somebody I think that pick makes more sense when you think about it in terms of maybe Gus isn't here in 2 years, and maybe you get back to the offense that you wanted to run from the beginning, which I think Mike Norvell kind of prefers more of a pocket pass than a moving quarterback, to be honest with you. So I think that quarterback makes more sense when you think about what might want to become long-term at Florida State than what Gus is right now at Florida State, if that makes sense.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think Jaden O'Neal has been compared to an Auburn Jarrett Stidham. But when you look at Jarrett Stidham's stats at Auburn the last 2 seasons, he had 18 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in both of his seasons. And he beat an Alabama team and a Georgia team on back-to-back weeks. I mean, so you can say all the thoughts you want to have about Stidham, but, I mean, the reality is he's still an NFL quarterback. He's still in the league. He's still producing at some type of a rate. So, I mean, when you're looking at Gus Malzahn and the way he runs the football, doesn't necessarily mean that the quarterback has to run the football. He isn't effective with R.J. Harvey last season at UCF. Same kind of thing. He was able to reutilize that. Quarterback was still able to get his 5 or 6 yards, continue to move the chains, but in terms of having a pocket passer per se, I wouldn't too much worry about Jaden O'Neal. I think he's a good get. Don't think he's great and elite, but I do think he's a solid piece for Florida State to build around in this recruiting class.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. I would, like you said, he's not like one of the elite guys. He's not like Duckworth or anything like that. So, I don't even think he stopped you from trying to get another one. But it's just for what they're looking to be in the future, like you said, I think he's a good get too. Like I said, he doesn't do anything elite. He's just really good at a lot of stuff. He's got a good arm. He can use his leg and stuff like that. He's not one that's going to move the needle per se like those other guys, but I really think it's a solid get and one that they had to get because they were so far down their quarterback board. They missed out on a lot of guys, especially once Duckworth put it down to I think it was South Carolina and Auburn.
Yeah,
it was like it's top 2. Like once it got there, it was kind of like man, like that was that one hurt. So I agree. Very very solid, not great, but very very solid good. And one that they had to because like I said, it was a bare covered as far as their quarterback board was going.
I do think though that if they got Keyshawn Henderson, the Houston commit. I think that's a game-changing type of program guy.
Yes.
Starter. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason why Houston paid him $3 million a year. I mean, there's a reason. Yeah.
So let's talk
Must
about.
be nice.
I think the leader of this whole class right now, as far as the big time kids, is Devin Carter.
I knew you were gonna say that.
His dad played at Florida State. I don't forget what his dad's name is. I'm
Dexter.
sorry. My homeboy, Dexter. My homeboy played football with Dexter. God, I don't know why I can't remember his name. Anyway, he seems to be like the ringleader of this class, like the guy that's kind of helping put the pieces together for this class. So let's talk about him and like what his what he actually means for this class, like what he's doing for this class and helping out.
Well, I mean, he talked about during the official visit after he finished with Florida State. Talked to Gus Malzahn. He's that go-to type of guy: jet sweeps, slants, fades, all kind of things. Go routes as well. You see it in his high school film that he had at Douglasville, Georgia. A lot of go routes, a lot of post routes. I mean, this kid can fly, and he's 6 foot, about 200 pounds at this point. He's a guy that's kind of developed his skill size and frame, and I do think he's going to be able to utilize in the slot, on the outside. Not only that, he's a vocal guy. He's a legacy kid. And some of the legacy kids that Florida State's gotten, I don't want to throw too many shots, but like Lamont Green Jr., it was kind of an unfinished product. You wanted to see more out of him. You wanted to see more out of his frame, but just didn't quite get there. So obviously you got more of a guy that's more polished. I think he can be able to do a little bit more things at his high school next year because he only did have 600 yards. So you want to see more production. You want to see a little more slant routes, a little bit more production there, maybe a couple of zigs as well. So we'll kind of see what Carter does there. But he talks every day on social media. I mean, this is a guy that wants everyone to come to Florida State. Obviously, when you had the coaching situation with Ron Dugans and some different things going on there with the coaching staff, obviously, I mean, you're looking at other options at that point. You can't blame him. I mean, Auburn had a lot of different momentum going there. They're in the SEC. Just a lot of things were going in the right direction. Obviously, he kind of wanted to visit around some other schools and eventually sold on Florida State once again. And I think this is going to be his last time, hopefully. High school recruiting nowadays. But I think, he's going to be a good get for this class and going to be somebody that Florida State's desperately going to need to recruit for the rest of the class.
That's a good one. What do you think about the Timmons kid that we got, the other legacy?
I think he's good, man. Staff likes him as mostly a safety right now. A little bit more as a corner, I think, too. Can play a little bit of nickel. Last season, he had 4 interceptions. So just coming off of that, I know people kind of look at the Pennsylvania native type of thing and just think, oh, well, he's from Pennsylvania. He's going to be trash. He doesn't play much competition. Man, this kid's a ball hawk, though. I just wonder if he's going to kind of develop into that skill set and frame a little bit more. I hope he gets maybe about 10 or 15 pounds heavier to where he can kind of play in that linebacker position too and kind of be down in the box a little bit more.
Yeah.
But just overall, I do like the pick of Florida State with
I would say though, don't sleep on them Pennsylvania kids, man, because Penn State has some.
I'm gonna say they don't. Yeah, they actually have good high school football in Pennsylvania. It's just not broadcast like Texas and Florida and Georgia, California, but they have good football players out there. Like guys like Parsons and all them. Those guys come from the state.
Yeah, I was asking somebody about that because I was trying to figure out. I was like, how do they keep putting out these elite fast defensive ends? Like it just doesn't make any sense because it's like they don't have like 4 or 5 years in a row. They just put out first round defensive end. And somebody told me what happens is, the coach, Franklin, he just recruits the best athletes in Pennsylvania. So a lot of times these guys don't be playing defensive end. They literally be playing like wide receiver, a quarterback, or running back. And he said that they get them and they be like, hey, we're going to put you're going to play. And they were saying a lot of times those guys end up coming to school playing safety or playing linebacker. And then they move them to the defensive end position around their junior, senior year. And they got another kid on their team right now, number 33 on Penn State, that's going to be a first rounder next year. And I was like, how they keep stacking? Like saying these dudes be like wide receivers and running backs. Like they don't ever play defensive end. It take them 2 years to teach them how to play defensive end. And then they just
super
blow up on us. Yeah, and they come out of nowhere. Like Parsons came out of nowhere. The guy that just left, he came out of nowhere. I mean, he was saying like they just recruit the best kids in Pennsylvania. They don't care. They just get the best athletes and they just put them on just find some way to put them on the field. That's just what
Yeah,
they do.
because Parsons was also playing running back in high school. So
Yeah, that's what they were saying. They said a lot of them don't be playing defense. They'll be on offense, just doing all this special stuff on offense. And they freshman year, they'll put them on defense and they give them 2 years to develop. Then they put them on the field by the end of their sophomore year. The next thing you know, their junior year, they all on the field together. Because I was like, it makes no, because he was saying that's why they're never elite at the same time. Like you would think, well, when they're on the same defensive line, like no, they don't be on the same defensive line at the same time.
right.
It's crazy though how what they do. I mean, Penn State do a good job developing guys. That's basically what I'm saying. Penn State do a good job developing in that Pennsylvania area, man. At one time, it used to be quarterback cradle. That Pennsylvania area used to be the place you went to go get a quarterback for a long time, but that's changed.
Yeah. So I did have a question though about Timmons. So with him committing over to Florida State, does that mean they're a little bit worried about Tadarius Hughes going to Syracuse?
I think the way Fran Brown is just a dog recruiter. He's not gonna stop. So I do think it's good, especially if you get a legacy kid, to have a good backup option. To be honest with you,
yeah.
I think they're gonna keep that kid though. But Fran Brown is a dog recruiter. I mean, he's not gonna stop recruiting the kid. I mean, that's Kirby, Nick Saban type. We're gonna go ahead and try to get the best we can get. So I do think there's a chance you lose him, but I think they keep him, to be honest with you. What you think, Matthew?
I'm a little nervous about Xavier Payne though with Syracuse too, with him decommitting. That's also another little sketchy situation there.
Yeah. So you got some more kids you want to? Let's go down a list on a couple of these kids. Somebody got the chat. Syracuse going 6-6. I think Syracuse does pull back a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be as far back as y'all think. I think Syracuse finds another way to get 7 games, 8 games again. To be honest with you.
Yeah, as far as like I said, the recruiting goes, I mean, here the last few weeks, I mean, they've done, obviously they got 3 blue chip wide receivers. So, Carter with the stuff that y'all just talked about, Brandon Bennett, I think, his calling card is speed. He has that track speed because he runs track too. And, so I really like that they've, done a good job in that area. Of course, last year they had, Malik Clark and CJ Wiley and McCutcheon, and then by I think it was October they were all gone. So because of the season they had. So hopefully, like I was saying to somebody earlier today, I was talking to about Florida State. I love what they're doing right now. I think that this staff is much better at recruiting than the last one. I think they've kind of shown that already. But all this is going to hinge on how they play in 2025. Because if they come out and they drop a dud season, I mean, let's say they go on and they finish with, let's say, a top 10 class. Let's say they stay in the top 10. If they come out and have a 5-7 season, 6-6, a lot of those guys are going to leave. There's going to be guys flipping during the season, the way Myron Charles and, like I said, McCutcheon and all those guys did last year, and Peyton Joseph, end up going to Georgia Tech. So it's going to be very incumbent on them to turn this around. You don't have to, compete to be in the playoff or anything like that. You don't have to be a playoff team, I don't think necessarily, but you have to have somewhat of a turnaround that's kind of significant. Because if you don't, this momentum that you got right now recruiting, like by the time December comes, a lot of those guys are going to be flipping and going elsewhere or decommitting and reopening their recruitment. So I love what they're doing, but it's going to hinge on how they play in 2025 if they keep the class.
Come to that conclusion too, because I know a lot of people say that. They say, man, we got to win like 8 or 9 games. But a team that hasn't won 8 or 9 games and has struggled the last 5 years? Auburn. You know what they've done in recruiting? Top 10 classes.
Yeah.
They've had 5 straight losing seasons. 5 straight.
Good point.
And they've still been able to recruit. I mean, yeah, you can say SEC money. You can do whatever you want to with that. Obviously, there's still going to be some deals underneath the table. NIL is still going to be quite there in college football. But the way that Mike Norvell finally had to turn around his tenure at Florida State, because, I mean, let's just face it, 2-10 was rough. If the contract extension never happened, probably was going to get fired. So realistically, he had to look himself in the mirror and say, okay, Gus Malzahn is probably going to have my offense. We're going to have to hand the keys to him. He's a guy I trust. He's a guy I've worked with at Tulsa. He's been a head coaching guru in my career at that point. I trust him with some of the ways that we have. He's been a head coach for a long period of time. It seemed like at UCF he didn't really want to be a head coach much any longer. He didn't want to have the full responsibilities, wanted to go back just his roots and just wanted to play football. So being able to do that, I think it's very important that he brought in a coaching staff that was confident in recruiting as well as the sports staff. He's brought in a lot of directors in recruiting as well of the operations
Mm-hmm.
things too. That's really helped. So having those, official visits like back in the Taggart era, which I know Taggart's no longer here, there were some recruiting stories out there that recruits would go on visits. They would be at, stops, like 2 or 3 miles away from campus. There was supposed to be somebody that picked them up. Nobody picked them up. So obviously, when you get incidents like that, that just shows disorganization. And that's kind of what you saw in some of the recruiting efforts in the last couple of years under Norvell. Disorganization, not being able to close at the end of the signing days. It's great and all that you get all these commits, but what are you going to do at National Signing Day? Are you going to be able to keep most of those guys like you did in the 25 class? Or are you turning into a 22 class that was at one point third in the country and you lose Notre Dame? You thought, close game, all right. And then next thing you know, you lose to Jacksonville State. Rest is history. So you cannot let that happen.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, man, I think they're doing a good job. So I don't want to be like, I don't know. I think they're doing a good job. I guess my biggest question would be, where do you think the philosophy change has come from with the last staff to the staff we have now? Are they recruiting so much different now? I mean, I know they're recruiting different body types on the offensive line for sure. I see a major difference there. But do you think there's an overall philosophy change or a way they're going about their business now than they have in the past?
Yeah, I think it's all about expanding the targets they have on their board. Like they have to keep some of these guys on the back burner because you cannot just go all in on, let's just say, for example, 5-star running back Derek Cooper. You cannot go all out on Derek Cooper and not go after anybody else. You have to keep some guys on the back burner because if you don't, you strike out, you're left with nobody. You're going to the transfer portal to try to see if you can find another option. If that transfer doesn't work out, you have what you had last year, and that is not good. You developed terribly on the defense and offensive line. Trenches were absolutely horrific at times, and can't beat a dead horse. Obviously, everybody talks about it, but at the end of the day, you have to recruit well in the trenches to be able to have a chance, to be able to be physical, to be what you want to be. And Florida State did that in the 25 recruiting class. They had guys like Kevin Wynn, Jesse Harold as well. Tywan Lee is another guy. So those are 3 guys that I didn't think Florida State could get 3 or 4 years ago. But now they're able to get those. They're able to spend bigger money, bigger resources on guys that may have fell below the wayside, but they kept them under wraps a little bit more, and they were able to build that relationship because they struck out on some other guys, but they were able to get some other guys in.
Okay. So you're saying that the biggest change has been expanding the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think they got guys that independently work better without supervision. I think Tim Harris is one of those guys. I mean, we know Surtain is one of those guys. He don't need anybody to tell him how to go about his business. And the O-line coach seemed like one of those guys also, to be honest with you. So I think we had 24 minutes now. I want to touch on a few more. Well, I don't deleted my darn list now. Okay. I want to touch on some more.
Papuchis as well, moving to linebackers coach. What's up with that resurrection with recruiting a little bit on his side of things too? It's kind of out there for me. I don't know if he's one of the better recruiters on staff. I still think it's like, if you want to talk about better recruiters, maybe Chris Thompson. But
I told some. I don't know who posted. I don't know who posted. I think it might have been Clay Fink, but I was like, Chris Thompson actually, other than his first year, I think his first year or second year, all the recruiting classes he's had, the tight end wise, like, I mean, he's recruited pretty well. I mean, we got to see some more development on the field, but I don't know, as far as tight end position, how much is that development and how much is that the offense and what.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just something I know a lot of people are thinking about. The tight end position is kind of boring. not really a lot of people talk about it, but Landon Thomas had a successful game against Clemson. So
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Thompson's been doing good. This thing is just keep kicking me. I have no clue why.
Yeah,
Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna keep going.
but yeah,
Trying to get us
but
a
yeah,
30 minute.
Thompson's definitely doing good. I mean, you see, like you said, Landon showed flashes last year. Even Mario Williams showed a little something. Then you got Chase Lofton coming in for 25. They just got Tiller for 26. So yeah, he's actually been quietly. And I know as far as the coaches that get the props, I know Sertan's probably at the top of the list, and probably Pot Roast right now. What he's been doing lately, and of course Hand. Not just recruiting, but with how you got the big haul of transfers in, all those guys going to start this year. But yeah, Thompson is quietly this is several classes now that he's got some blue chip guys. So I would definitely start to put him up there as far as like one of the coaches you start to like kind of trust now. You expect him to get like a guy or two every recruiting cycle now.
I think this class is pretty good on the floor. I mean, it still needs more top end talent. Like if you just kept these guys and added a few more, it wouldn't be a top 10 class. Like once the other schools really start, like I think next couple of weeks, you're going to start seeing the Georgias and the Ohio States really start picking up the recruiting, LSUs and programs like that. So it looks like where it's sitting at now on what they could get, it looked like it got a chance to be a top 15 class, I would think. 15, maybe 16. Because I think the quality is not like upper echelon quality. You know what I'm saying? If I was Mike personally, I would take a big high school class if I was him. I really would, because you're gonna have to sell the future. Because I think you're gonna have a decent season, but I don't think you're gonna have the type of season that make everybody feel like, oh my God, we're gonna be back. You need the type of season, you need the type of recruiting class that can says, I'm building something special. I'm gonna build something, that's gonna stand the test of time for at least 3 or 4 years. It's gonna be something in 3 or 4 years. So what do you think about that?
I mean, you don't have the 85 scholarship limit anymore. I mean, you have
Right.
the 105. So I mean, you're able to take more guys this year. So it's got to definitely be star studded for the rest of the guys you get with 20 commits in the class so far.
Right.
Yeah, to me, I think they need to get probably closer to 30 as far as the total that they take. As far as keeping it top 10, I think they're gonna have to sprinkle like a 5-star in there somewhere. To try to get probably to keep it a 10. Like you said, I mean, some of these schools like they don't even have 10 commits yet.
Yeah.
Some of these bigger schools they got like 9 and 10 and 12 commits, and they're still ranked pretty high and kind of close around Florida State. So once their big haul comes, it'll start knocking them down a little bit. But we'll definitely see. But I just like the momentum they've gotten the last 2 weeks, because I mean, coming off a 2-10 season, I hate saying 2-10 because I'm trying to forget that so much. But to come off a season like that and have any kind of spurt where you get a dozen guys in 2 weeks, and with the majority of them being blue chip guys, that says a lot about like we talked about earlier, like the difference in the recruiting this staff as opposed to when that was here before.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the list right now. Oregon hasn't even started recruiting yet. They only sitting at 7 commits, and LSU at 16. So
Yeah.
I mean these schools ain't even got started yet.
Yeah. I will say this though, because Chauncey Kennan, 5-star cornerback from Sarasota, kind of a Charles Lester type of recruitment there. Florida State's looking very, very good in that recruitment.
And that's the one I want bad too.
Yeah, and he's going to be committing July 6th, so we'll kind of see how that factors in. And then on top of it too, the staff and a couple of sources I spoke to have said Xavier Griffin is very much a possibility. Very much. They are
really
going all in on that recruitment and are really, really pushing. So my thought right now is Alabama, but Florida State's really made it interesting. So.
Yeah, because wasn't Griffin the one that kind of scoffed at Castellanos' comment? And see, and like when I saw that, that's when I kind of, I was like, well, it looks like he's kind of like a Bama lock. But I had no idea that they were still. I mean, I knew they were after him and still trying to, make that interesting, but I didn't know that they had made that much ground where it's like, you know what, there's a chance he might have something to think about there. So that's the interesting nugget. Wow. Because if you, let's just for argument's sake, now if you get Chauncey Kenny and then you somehow get him, oh, you're like your class looks a whole lot better now. Because that's gonna be what
Derek Cooper too, because he's from Chaminade, so I mean,
yeah,
with Lopez, so I mean, that's another relationship builder, and he really likes Mike Norvell too. I would suggest Miami with Cooper, but right now, Griffin's
I've been hearing Miami and I think Georgia.
Yeah,
like
but with Jalen Moore
schools.
going to Georgia, that's kind of eliminates.
True.
But
yeah.
What about the Jason Lopez kids? You think we keep him from Miami? What do you think?
Shoot, I hope their basketball program does, because basketball team needs a lot more energy, especially at the point guard position, and scoring 25 points per game, having 4 steals, 6 rebounds. I mean, that's pretty impressive. It's got a lot of good handles too. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I see. Like they've been recruiting a lot of two sport guys. Seems like lately a lot of guys that either do basketball, football, or they do football and track. Like they're doing a lot of two sport guys. Seems like.
Absolutely.
A lot of athletes.
Okay, so where do you expect for the class to actually finish at? If you had to guess, what would you guess? Let's get them 7 wins. Let's get them 7 wins. They play in a bowl game. Where do you think they at in December?
I mean, your class finished 12th last year. Norvell averages about 18th, 17th class average. So I'd probably say about 13th, maybe. I'd say that's a safe number. I think you're probably still going to have to go to the transfer portal. You really don't know what you're doing at the quarterback position next year if Castellanos doesn't get that extra year of approval for eligibility. So, I mean, you're probably going to have to go back to the offensive line again, because you're probably going to replace 4 starters on the offensive line, maybe 5. It depends on what Richie Leonard does. I mean, that's quite a bit of talent to lose. So,
I'm sorry, what did you say it was?
13th.
13?
Yeah, somewhere around that range, 12 to 15. What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, I said earlier, it was going to be about how they perform. So if you can get, I mean, to me, 8 is better.
Yeah.
That's I don't know why that number is sticking out. Me and Sam have talked a bunch of times about that number being like the one that will make you feel the most secure. But if you get 7 wins, you get to a bowl game. Let's say you win and you get like 8 total. I think they can finish inside the top 15. I think I would feel more confident about maybe trying to challenge for a top 10. They have like an 8 or 9 win team. But I think, like you said, Norville averages just outside the top 15. So if you could have a 5-win turnaround, I think they could probably keep you inside the top 15 when it's all said.
I will say this too, though, putting that in perspective, like winning 7 games, you beat Kent State, you beat East Texas A&M. So there's 2 of your wins right there. Realistically, you have yourself losing to an Alabama, Miami, Florida, Clemson, NC State, potentially. So you're losing all your top 5 big games, and you only have that. Is that really impressive for you?
See, me, I don't think Florida State's going to lose to Miami this year.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'm actually more worried about them losing to Florida than I am Miami.
I agree.
That's just me personally. And the thing about every year, whenever Florida State plays Clemson on the road, they play Florida on the road too. Not only those 2 your tough game, those 2 are going to be on the road. So those are the ones like man, like I wish we had those at home this year. But me and Sam talked about the toughest games, and one of them was the one at NC State, because not only they're on the road, but I think that's a night game too, isn't it?
Yep, it'll be Friday night. I'll actually be attending that game as well.
Okay, yeah, and then it's like a kind of during the week game too. So, and we've had a history of hiccups up there in Raleigh.
I'm not a huge fan of NC State's quarterback CJ Bailey. Not a huge fan of him. Last year had like 17 touchdowns, 10 picks. It's okay. It's nothing special. But then again, you lose to a Mike Glennon that is also not very good. So,
Right.
you know, and Russell Wilson, who wasn't good at the time over there at NC State, you know, he got better.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah. Those are definitely night and day as far as how he was performing for sure.
Yeah, and then you know, on top of it too, when you lost in 22, you know, that didn't really help cases either. You know, granted, you know, you had a chance there if you didn't throw, or if you trusted your kicker at that point. You know, we probably could have won that game if you didn't throw a deep ball to Pittman.
Yeah, but that's actually a good point though. I mean, like if you're gonna have 7 wins, like you're gonna have like 2 or 3 of those, like you're gonna have to sprinkle a Florida or a Miami in there. You know, make sure you beat a NC State because, like you said,
you've already got 2. I mean, you're really saying you're going, you know, 5-5 the rest of the season.
Right?
Is that what you're really saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that is quite a bit disappointing. Like if you win 8 games or 9 games, that's pretty impressive compared to what it could be at that point.
Right.
But 6-6 kind of seems like the world's falling type of deal.
Yeah. Well, this has been a disaster on my end. Sorry about that, fellas. I don't know. It just keep kicking me. I have no clue. My Wi-Fi is good. It's just like booting me out every single time. I have no clue why this shit is doing that. It's ridiculous. But what I did want to say before I get out of here, I appreciate you coming on, talking recruiting. We got to get you back on again, so I'm gonna make sure that happens. And Matthew, got anything else?
Oh no, man! It's just good to put the face with the account. I've been following it for so long, and we had a conversation last year. It was a little small one, but yeah, man. Glad you came on here too. I know you got things you're doing, busy schedule and all that, and obviously just from hearing you talk, it definitely matches the tweets. You know what I'm saying? You definitely know what you're talking about. And I tell you do the work and all that. So definitely appreciate you, man, and definitely gonna have you on again because any more information we can get better at this, we'll definitely appreciate from you. So.
No doubt, man. Live, breathe, bleed, garnet, and gold at this point in my life. It's something I've always been passionate about. So just continuing to have that passion with other fans, negative, positive fans, bright side, dark side, Noles. I don't really care. I'm here for it. So.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun. I wish people stop being so serious all the damn time, but I can't really help people out with that. So, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap the show up. I know we'll be back Sunday. If Matthew good for it this time, you good for this Sunday?
Yes, yes, I'm definitely good for it this time. It's probably supposed to be our first Sunday show. But
so we'll do Sunday, and I'm gonna try to get I'm gonna try to wrangle in Clay for Thursday next week. Also, get him talking about some stuff. So, hey, I appreciate you again, Norvell Central. You the GOAT when it comes to talking about this recruiting stuff and what these kids talking about.
No, man, appreciate having me and everything.
All right, man, no problem.
Man. Appreciate you.
Go Noles.
Go Noles.